Okay, 7th grade. So our learning target today is I can identify the parts of a circle and use them to find area and circumference. You should be on page number 1 of the packet. So yesterday we learned about the circle song. So pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d, thinking back to the circle song. We're going to start by identifying these parts of the circle. So we're going to start with the diameter. The diameter in the circle song was the line that goes from side to side passing through the center. This was our diameter. So go ahead and write diameter. The line that goes from side to side passing through the center is the diameter of the circle. The line that goes from side to side passing through the center. Then we talked about the radius. The radius goes from center to rim. So from the center of the circle to the what we call the rim, or the outside of the circle, is called the radius. Go ahead and label that radius. It goes from center to rim. The chord is that segment. It's kind of like a diameter, but it does not go through the center. So a chord would be, this here would be a chord. So it's kind of like a diameter. It has its own line segment, but does not necessarily go through the center, where the diameter has to hit the center of the circle. A chord does not have to hit the center of the circle. Then we have the circumference. We talked about that the circumference of the circle, when we're going around the circle, we would just use pi d, circumference. Go ahead and write that down, circumference of the circle. So that's going all the way around the circle, circumference. All right, and then we have that center of the circle that we've been talking about. The center of the circle is this giant center. Everything, all the diameters and radiuses are working off the center of the circle. So I'm just going to get an arrow over there, center of the circle. And finally, the last piece then is called the arc. And an arc is a little bit different, and we really haven't talked about arc in our circle song experience. But this right here is really our arc. I don't know if you can see that in that yellow there, but that piece is called an arc. So it's that portion that is going from a line, from a end point to an end point. So we go ahead, that's called an arc. So you can think of that almost like a part of a pizza crust. So you're gonna need just that section of pizza crust, that would be the arc. And the last thing that's really not on here would be the area, which is what we're gonna talk about next. The area is really the space inside a 3D shape. In this particular work that we're going to be doing on circles, we're going to think of the area of this circle as the pizza sauce. So all the pizza sauce and all the yummy stuff on the inside of the circle. So the area of the circle would be all the yummy stuff. Pizza sauce, cheese, toppings. That's area. So thinking back to the circle song, then we're talking about that the area from the first circle would be area of a circle is pi r squared, sounds like area to me. Everything we heard in that circle song, pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. So pi r squared sounds like area to me. All right, so we're working off that formula today of pi r squared to get the area of the circle, or the pizza sauce, the yummy stuff, sauce, the toppings and things like that. So we're going to start with this first example of, let's say we know that we have an 18 centimeter diameter pizza. Now centimeters are very small, so that's probably a tiny little pizza, maybe a little personal pizza. We want to find the area of it. So we've learned that area is pi r squared, sounds like area to me. Go ahead and start writing that formula. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. All right, so as we start to solve this, now the thing that's unknown is the area. So we're going to go ahead and leave that a stop sign or a variable a. We're going to leave all the unknowns as variables. We know that pi is 3.14, its relationship. Pi is 3.14. And we're looking for the radius here. So we're looking for the part that's center to rim, from center to the rim. Well, it looks like on the screen that the diameter is 18. So if the diameter is 18, then the radius is 9. So you should have 3.14 times 9 squared. So you should be typing in your calculator 3.14 times 9 to the second power. The button that you might want to use, depending on what calculator you're using, is this arrow button. That would be your exponent button. Go ahead and find that on your calculator. If you're using one of the TI 30s or 34s that we have in class, it's just to the diagonal of the 7th key. We're looking for that exponent button. So hopefully you have found that. So we're going to go 3.14 times 9 exponent button power 2. That would be an option for you. As you type that in, then you would have 254.34 centimeters squared. That is the area or the space inside this pizza. All the sauce, all the cheese, all the yummy stuff. Area. There's example 1 on area of pizza or area of circle. Moving over to the example over here. Using the same formula, pi r squared sounds like area to me. Why don't you go ahead and write down that formula? Pi r squared sounds like area to me. Starting to plug things in then. So the thing that's unknown right now is area. We have a 3.14. And what we need is the radius this time. So we're going to measure from center to rim. So it looks like the radius this particular time is going to be 6. It's ready to go. We're going to just dump that right into that spot, radius squared. Again, the key that you're going to probably need to use is this exponent button, or you can use the square button. So we're going to type in our calculator 3.14 multiplied by 6 to the second power. You can just use those parentheses as well, or you can hit the multiplication sign. So the area of this circle would be 113.04 feet squared. So we might be talking about the area of the tarp covering a pool, a circular pool in your backyard, if we're talking in terms of square feet, something rather large. All right, so that's area, or that's pizza sauce, all the yummy stuff. We're going to transition now to something called circumference. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. It's really, a circumference really is a perimeter of a circle, but we call it the circumference. So it's really the distance around. The distance around. So in this particular work that we're talking about today on circles or pizzas, we're going to really talk about the crust of the circle. So here's how it's going to work then. So we're going to go back to our formula in the circle song that we learned. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. When we say pi d, we really mean the operation of multiplication. So go ahead and write that down. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. All right, so here we go. What we're looking for is we're looking for the crust of this pizza. How much crust is there? So when I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. So to find the crust of the pizza, then we would take 3.14 multiplied by the diameter. So go ahead and write the formula down. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. We know that we're going to lock that pi in of 3.14, as we always do. I need to dump the diameter into this spot. As I look at my picture, the diameter, we're using the same circle from above, but we're finding pizza crust this time. The line that goes from side to side passing through the center is 18. So we have 3.14 times 18 gives us 56.52 centimeters of crust. This is a pizza crust question. How much crust is on that pizza? 56.52 centimeters of crust. All right, moving on to the circle over here. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. So again, the circumference is the crust. Go ahead and write down the formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter. All right, as we're starting to solve them, we're going to go ahead and dump that 3.14 in for pi, as we always do. I'm going to need to dump the diameter into that other spot. So what I have so far is I have a radius. There's my radius from center to rim is 6. But I'm really looking for the diameter, that whole distance. So I'm going to add another 6 to that. That gives me a diameter is equal to 12. So I really need to put a 12 in the diameter spot. Radius is 6. But I need the whole line, the line that goes from side to side passing through the center is 12. So in our calculator, then we're going to go ahead and multiply 3.14 multiplied by 12. So we got 3.14 multiplied by 12 gives us 37.68 feet. So the crust in this particular circle, or the circumference, is 37.68 feet of crust. Now, obviously, that's a gigantic pizza and not realistic, but that's just the mindset that I want you to have, that we're always talking either pizza sauce for area or pizza crust for circumference. Okay, so we're going to switch gears here on these last 3 problems. What we're going to do is we're going to kick in that hand method. We're still working with area and circumference thought process, But what happens when we have this hand method? So we're going to start with just some basic information over here on the left-hand side. So if I have a circle that has a radius of 4, we go ahead and draw a picture of kind of what's going on here. We have a radius from center to rim of 4 millimeters. Now think of millimeters as super tiny. So I'm asked to find the circumference, and I'm asked to find the area. So when I start with on the left side, I'm going to kind of break this down in some tiny space here. Circumference formula. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. I want to go ahead and make kind of a little bit of a t just for organizational purposes. And then we're going to find the area on the right-hand side. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. Go ahead and write those down. All right, so working through our work here. On the left-hand side, we're really talking a crust question. This is a crust. How much crust is on this pizza circumference? So we're going to go ahead and say, well, to get the circumference, it's 3.14 multiplied by the diameter. Well, the radius is 4. So the diameter then is really 4 plus 4, which is 8. So we have a 3.14 multiplied by 8. So you should have 3.14 multiplied by 8. Then the circumference that I'm getting, as you type in 3.14 multiplied by 8, sorry that it's so small here, you're able to see what's going on. The circumference would be 25.12. The units is millimeters. That's how much crust I would need for that pizza. Switching gears then to area. Now we're talking sauce, the yummy stuff. Area, the space inside. So we would go 3.14 for pi. I need a radius to go into this spot. So if I go back to my picture, we're looking for the radius is from center to rim. This is called the radius. Looks like my radius then would be 4, so I'm going to dump a 4 into that spot. So we would, in our calculator, then multiply 3.14 times the radius squared, radius to the second power. So everybody should be multiplying 3.14 times the radius squared. You should end up with 50.24. The units is millimeters squared. This is really a pizza sauce situation. The sauce, the yummy stuff, the space inside the pizza. All right, 7th grades, we have 2 examples left. We're still talking circumference and area, but I'm going to switch things up on you a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you work backwards. I'm going to give you the circumference in this first example, and I'm going to ask you to work backwards and find the diameter of the pizza that would have the following circumference. So we always start with the formula. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. I want you to be thinking that this is a crust question, a pizza crust distance around question. All right, so here we go. We still are going to use substitution. We're still plugging in for variables. We're still doing that same information. It looks like this time we do know the circumference, so we're going to use substitution. We're going to get rid of the circumference, and we're going to put a 15.7 in for that spot. We were unable to do that in the last example because we didn't know the circumference, but this time we do. We always know pi, it's 3.14. But what is unknown in this particular problem is this diameter d, so we're going to leave it a variable d. The hand method kicks in at this point, so we're going to take our hand and cover the variable d. So that's a giant stop sign there where that d is. Anything attached to the variable has to go. That 3.14 multiplied is going to leave. We're going to undo that by using the operation of division. Copy, paste. As we start to divide that, we end up with 1d or d equals. On the left-hand side, then we have 15.7 divided by 3.14. So we have 15.7 divide by 3.14. Everybody should be typing that in right now. 15.7, there's your division sign, by 3.14 on the left-hand side. You should end up with 5 inches. So the diameter of this pizza, as we were looking for right here, is 5 inches. The line that goes from side to side passing through the center is the diameter. All right, guys, we're almost there. All right, next problem is the same concept. We're going to use the area formula, but we're going to have us work backwards on this one. This one's going to be a little bit trickier. So we know that pi r squared sounds like area to me. This is a pizza sauce question. Space inside, all the yummy stuff. We're going to use substitution through the process as we always do in every equation. We know the area this time, it's 78.5. So in for area, we're going to put 78.5. We know that pi is 3.14. What we don't know this time is the radius. So that's going to be our unknown. A little bit trickier this time. Hand method kicks in. So same hand method. Variable and anything attached is a stop sign. My job is to get rid of this 3.14, and that's the operation of multiplication there. We have 3.14 multiplied by the radius squared. To undo that, then we would divide by 3.14. Copy, paste. as I solve them, on the left-hand side, then I have 78.5 divided by 3.14. Go ahead and type that in your calculator. 78.5 divided by 3.14. Go, everybody's typing. 78.5 divided by 3.14. All right, as we type that in, you should end up with 25. Nice, solid whole number there. On the right-hand side, we know 3.14 divided by 3.14 is equal to 1. Fabulous. That's what we're looking for. Then we have this rule in my class. If you haven't used it, you drag it down. Dilemma. Our dilemma is that we want the variable r totally alone. It is not totally alone right now. It has this power of 2 or this exponent of 2 attached to it. No deal. We have to have the variable r totally alone to say that we've solved the problem. So we need to get rid of the power of 2. The opposite of squaring, that's called squaring. The opposite of squaring is to take the square root. Copy, paste. The square root of 25, we really have a square that has an area of 25. The square root of 25, as we've learned, is the whole number 5, because 5 times 5 gives us the 25. What we learned in math is that this is an inverse operation, that squaring and square rooting are opposites. They cancel, which just the variable r drops out. So we end up with r, or the radius is equal to 5 centimeters. Excellent job, 7th grade. So for our summary today, we talked about just a couple of things. Remember to refer to the circle song. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I'll just use pi d. A diameter is a line that goes from side to side passing through the center, all that stuff from the circle song. And make sure you know the difference between the radius, which is 1 arm, and the diameter, which is 2 arms. Go ahead and copy those summaries down. Everybody should be copying the summary down right now. All right, guys, so our homework for tonight is to finish page 2 and page 3 on area, circumference situations. Remember, circumference is crust, area is sauce. Have a fabulous day, 7th grade.